Simplified data validation for scalable financial reporting. In today's webinar, we're going to walk through introducing our speakers. We're going to talk about some data volumes and validation challenges that our clients often experience. We're going to talk about what migration looks like for you and what are some pitfalls that our clients commonly encounter. We're going to talk about how to manage risk during your data validation and migration. And then we're going to conclude with a demonstration of Spreadsheet Server, followed by some Q&A. First, I'd like to introduce our presenters. I'm Paul Lisko, Director of Product Management for Insight Software, and I manage the financial reporting section of our portfolio, including the Spreadsheet Server product. I have a background in corporate finance, operations, as well as product management. Kevin?
Absolutely. Thanks, Paul. My name is Kevin Gibson. I am what they call a senior solutions engineer. I'll be the product demonstrator today. I have a background in finance. I'm a CPA. I've been living and breathing in finance for all of my life. We're going to talk about this data migration, this data validation today, but thank you all for joining.
So who are we? Insight Software enables the office of the CFO to connect to their data and make sense of it in real time to drive greater financial intelligence. We are global. We are headquartered out of Raleigh, North Carolina. And as you can see, we have a lot of customers and satisfied clients around the world. So in today's webinar, we want to deep dive into some topics which are near and dear to your hearts. Finance teams are called on to do a lot of things and do them well, and encounter a lot of challenges along the way. High on the list for finance teams are mitigating risk, dealing with a variety of different data sources, and the need to supply their organizations with decisions faster than they've ever been expected to do before. Yet we find in our market research that a lot of our clients are still using disconnected spreadsheets to manage financial reporting. And there's a great need in the market today for better tools that provide more rapid access to data to help drive decisions for the organization. A lot of finance teams are focusing their improvement efforts to attack these challenges around getting the right data more quickly to the right people, and then being able to analyze it, validate it, and act on it. So what are some of the typical challenges that our clients often encounter with data validation? First, data silos. A lot of different stakeholder functions in businesses today have different data sets, from your ERP to supply chain numbers. There can be accounting specific information systems, HRIS systems, and you may need to draw conclusions from a variety of different data sets. How do you do that appropriately? Second, the processes involved in accessing this data tend to be manual, and manual data manipulation introduces human error and makes it harder or slower to get to a viable business decision. These processes are often time consuming, particularly if you're manipulating data manually. And the longer you take to retrieve your data, get it to the people or the system that needs it, the less time your team has to focus on analysis and outputting those business decisions to drive growth. Lastly, reliance on IT or other functions can make all of the above a real chore. Not being able to drill down into your data or having to pivot it manually just to draw a conclusion means that you can't get your job done as fast as you would like. So why migrate? And how can you use tools that can help? It's very common for our clients to need to change direction as a company, or as they scale, to outgrow an ERP system and need to implement a new one. So a change in operations or strategy could drive that. A change in company leadership or ownership structure, M&A, or simply operational improvement to get bigger, scale more effectively, reduce cost. All of these reasons could provide an economic incentive for a business to transition systems and need to validate data along the way. Kevin, I think you had some experience with one of your companies undergoing such a transition. Can you share your experience with that?
Sure. So Paul, what happened is I'm a previous user of Spreadsheet Server, the product we will talk about today. And in my previous role, I was the financial reporting manager and was responsible for this upgrade within the Oracle e-business suite application, moving from 11i to R12. So to point out some of the key options here of why did we change? What's this migration involve? How does Spreadsheet Server fit in? Well, when you have two systems running at the same time, your old system that you're going to upgrade and then eventually to the new system, you're going to do some side-by-side book closing, if you will. You'll have two systems running simultaneously. You may decide that you want to reorganize the system itself by changing the chart of accounts or just putting in new features and functions. Well, there's only one way to work through that process. The migration leads to the validation. So having the ability to connect into multiple sources at the same time is exactly where Spreadsheet Server fits in during our migration period. We wanted to validate that not only did the old data migrate over correctly, but it got mapped in correctly under the new versions, if you will. So the new chart of accounts as a good example, being able to map those across and see that if one chart of accounts was X, they matched up with chart of accounts Y, your data pulled in correctly, you can continue seamless reporting from one system to another. So therefore, it takes that second set of books. You can close the old system much quicker. You could rely on the new system and have confidence the new system is working correctly. But some of those key points are just going to be, whether it's mergers and acquisitions, it's outdated systems, whether it's even support. Now, that's always happening with inside of these areas. You want to